皆さん、こんにちは。今日はね、ちょっと個人的なことをシェアしようと思います。私の日本語学習の旅、GLPD のレベルをどう進んできたかっていうストーリーです。3年前に N2 に合格して、その時は本当に最高の気分でした。自主なしで漫画を読めたり、アニメもほとんどわかったり、日本人の友達と普通に会話できたりして、でもその後いろいろあって、タイに引っ越したり、勉強で忙しくなったりして、気づいたら、こんにちはがだんだんサワディカに変わってきちゃって、少しずつ日本語が抜け落ちていたんです。Let me tell you about what happened when I stopped using Japanese on a daily basis. At first, nothing seemed to have changed. By 6 months, I would notice a hesitation over words I used to just answer automatically in thought. I was struggling with kanji that I used to read fluently. After a year, I felt I could have lost about 40% of my ability. I was watching a Japanese YouTube video that I used to enjoy, but I got lost along the way. And there it was, the whole I need a comeback plan. I went online, took a practice entry test, and here comes the brutal truth. I failed. At least this was the baseline and showed me where exactly the gaps were. But here's what I learned. The foundation was still there. It's like muscle memory. It returns faster than learning from the beginning, but it requires conscious effort. If you're on your own GLPD journey like me, this video is for you. I'm going to break down what actually changes at each level, the mistakes I made, and what I'd do completely differently if I could start over. I'm sharing not just how I'm rebuilding my Japanese, but the strategies that actually work for long-term retention. I studied Japanese in June 2020, full of excitement and curiosity. My goal was simple: to enjoy my favorite anime and content without subtitles. I used the full set of Minna no Nihongo textbook and workbooks, memorized hiragana and katakana, learned basic grammar, and built a small vocabulary deck. I spent 4 to 5 hours daily with YouTube lessons like Japanese Ammo with Misa, Platts Anime, and symbol reading on the Todaii App. But honestly, the early days were the most challenging because I barely understood a word. Looking back, I didn't have a clear study plan, and I was focused on finishing the textbook instead of building habits. If I could redo it, I would balance immersion between fun content and comprehensible input. For example, combine YouTube video lessons with daily learning of 25 Aiki cards or one textbook lesson. The early stages of my immersion journey were sometimes highly inefficient because I hadn't found this balance. I'd also start shadowing early, even with simple dialogues, to get comfortable with the sounds and rhythm of the language. Normally, people focus on listening more than saying things out loud. But I also realized something important. If you only consume Japanese passively, your speaking doesn't catch up. And honestly, that gap can be frustrating. So here's when today's sponsor, italki, comes to help. italki is the platform where you can book one-on-one lessons with native speaking teachers from all over the world, anytime and anywhere. Whether you are preparing for an exam, trying to boost your listening and speaking skills, or just starting out as a complete beginner, italki has teachers and lessons that fit your needs. They offer classes in over 150 languages, including tons of options for Japanese, so you'll find plenty of Japanese teachers to choose from. What's great is that you're not just memorizing vocabulary or grammar, you are really learning how to use the language through actual conversations. Plus, you will get real-time feedback and guidance from experienced teachers. Booking a class is a breeze. Their new AI assistant helps you find the perfect teacher based on your level, needs, and interests. You can even select teachers who speak your native language. Once you find someone you like, just hit book and you're good to go. And since you only pay per lesson, it works well with your budget and schedule. You can learn at your own pace and on your own time. To give you a sneak peek, here's how a real lesson looks.
の専攻と土木の専攻はどんな風に違いますか？
建築家はデザインする人で、私たちはそのデザインを立てる人です。
実際に作る。
はい、そうです。 And here's something cool. italki now offers AI-powered learning tools with their new italki Plus feature. You can practice speaking with AI tutors, get instant corrections, and use smart exercises to speed up your learning. Best of all, you can try italki Plus for free for a month. So if you're serious about starting your speaking and learning journey and want to accelerate your progress, just click the link in my description box. The first 50 users will also get $5 free when you purchase $10 for your first lesson using my promo code LINNLETT. So don't miss this chance. For grammar, you can use GPT Sensei. I've also linked some helpful resources in the description box. The key point is to start learning kanji in context rather than in isolation. Make sure to memorize the radicals too. It'll make things so much easier as you progress to higher levels. Finally, remember, you don't need dozens of resources. Pick 2 or 3 that fit your learning style and stick with them. Consistency matters far more than chasing the next new textbook or app. My second year of Japanese brought a lot of changes and gave me new perspectives on learning. In the initial months of my entry journey, there were definitely challenges. Some materials were difficult to understand, and there were months of frustration. However, I soon realized that it was part of the learning process. Prioritizing quality over quantity was a crucial step for me. I refined my vocabulary cards and found that adding context, images, and audio files significantly improved my learning experience. I used Nihongo Sou-matome for vocab, kanji, and reading, and I used the Shinkanzen Master for grammar. I started listening to podcasts like Comprehensible Japanese, Japanese with Shun, and watching anime with Japanese subtitles. This was the stage where I shifted from just studying Japanese to using Japanese in daily life. I still remember the first time I watched anime and could actually understand parts of the dialogue. It felt incredible. Now, back to my entry story. Even with all that progress, I still made mistakes. I focused too much on memorizing instead of noticing patterns. I drilled grammar points in isolation without really seeing how they connected, and I completely ignored my reading stamina. I could understand individual sentences, but couldn't handle full passages. So, my advice is to start reading native materials as early as possible. Even if you don't understand everything, get used to the feeling of being lost and picking up context clues. For reading credits, I highly recommend NHK News and Tadago Graded Readers. Both are beginner-friendly, yet challenging enough to help you grow. Use browser extension tools like Yomiten or Language Reactor. Yomiten isn't just a dictionary. It transforms your browser into a learning tool, helping you tackle texts you'd normally avoid. And please don't neglect listening and credits. Watch Japanese YouTube, anime, or songs to get your ears used to natural speed instead of textbook ones. I didn't take the GLPT N5 N4 or entry tests. I just practiced the old questions, and I passed almost all of them. So I really wanted to keep pushing myself and aim for N2. So I decided to take the GLPT N2 test in July 2022, and I had 6 months to prepare for that. At this level, grammar becomes incredibly nuanced. You are learning expressions that have subtle differences that can change the entire meaning. N2 is where you stop learning Japanese and start learning to think in Japanese. I continued using the Soumatome series. I was still doing the things I used to do at entry, reading news, listening to podcasts, and chatting with native friends on Tandem. Finally, I passed N2, not with a great score, but passed nonetheless. I'm being honest about my weak foundation here. I got only 29 out of 60 in the vocab and grammar section. Looking back, I realized that I focused too much on input and totally neglected the output. And I studied the grammar with just recognition, and I was too rushed, wanted to finish the textbook instead of really learning things. So my advice is to do vocabulary drilling. Don't learn grammar points with just recognition, but protection. If you can, write example sentences for every grammar point. Balance input and output. Reading and listening are great, but speaking and writing force you to really understand the grammar. The last thing, balance exam preparation with fun immersion. I became too test-focused and forgot to enjoy Japanese. So why am I back reviewing N2 2 years after passing? Simple, I realized I passed the test, but I didn't master the level. There's a huge difference. Now I created a 3-pillar system. The first one is structured study. I'm going back through the Soumatome series, drilling vocabulary on Genki because that 29 out of 60 score still haunts me, and reviewing grammar and Kanji in context, not just in isolation. Second is native content exposure. I read and listen to NHK News, I watch variety shows, and listen to podcasts like OK Japanese. Finally, output practice. I studied journaling and reconnecting with native friends on Tandem. Luckily, some still reply. Every 2 months, I take an italki class to check my progress and catch mistakes. Honestly, this output phase has been more valuable than all of my original N2 preparation combined. And that's the difference this time. I'm not just memorizing anymore, I'm internalizing. My vocabulary and grammar foundation finally feels like it's where it should have been 3 years ago. Looking back on this entire journey, here are the biggest lessons I've learned. Foundation matters more than speed. I rushed through the early levels, thinking I could catch up later, but weak foundations mean you are constantly backtracking. Take time to really solidify each level. Tests don't equal fluency. Passing a GLPT level means you can pass that test. It doesn't mean you can use Japanese naturally at that level. Build both test-taking skills and practical ability. Input quality over quantity. I used to think more hours automatically meant more progress, but 30 minutes of forecast appropriate level study beats 2 hours of mindless drilling. Embrace the plateau periods. There will be months where you feel like you are not improving. That's normal. Your brain is consolidating. Keep going. Finding your why beyond the test. The GLPT is a great goal, but you need deeper motivation. Mine is connecting with Japanese culture and people. Find yours. Community is everything. Join study groups, online communities, find study partners. This journey is too long and difficult to do alone. So that's my GLPT journey so far. From overconfident beginner to humble intermediate, now grinding toward advanced. It's been frustrating, rewarding, exhausting, and incredible all at once. If you're on this journey, remember everyone's path is different. Don't compare your entry to someone else's entry. Don't rush through levels just to say you passed. And most importantly, remember why you started learning Japanese in the first place. The GLPT is just a milestone, not the destination. Whether you are aiming for N5 or N1, you are doing something amazing. Keep going. What level are you working toward? What's been your biggest challenge? Let me know in the comments. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more Japanese learning content, and I'll see you in the next video. Ganbatte!